Welcome to the channel Coinexa USA, and before we dive in, let me ask you something that might just change the way you look at your pocket change forever, because what if I told you that a coin most people spend without a second thought, a coin so ordinary and so easy to overlook, is secretly worth more than most people earn in an entire lifetime? What if the tiny dime sitting at the bottom of your drawer, the one you might toss into a tip jar or leave on a gas station counter, could actually be worth $53 million? That's not a typo, that's not clickbait. That is the jaw-dropping, mind-blowing reality of the 2021 Roosevelt Dime, and today we are going to uncover every single secret hiding behind this incredible coin. Now I want you to stay with us until the very end of this video, because after we finish talking about this 2021 Dime, we have two more coins coming up that are going to make your jaw drop even further. Coins with stories so unbelievable and values so staggering that you are going to want to check every single coin in your house the moment this video ends. So do not click away. You absolutely cannot afford to miss what's coming. But first, let's talk about this coin, the 2021 Roosevelt Dime, valued by top collectors and experts at an astonishing $53 million. And let me tell you, the story behind this number is one of the most fascinating tales in all of American numismatic history. To understand why this dime is worth what it is, you have to go back to the year 2021, a year that was already extraordinary for so many reasons, a year when the entire world was still reeling, still recovering, still rebuilding, and in the middle of all of that, the Philadelphia Mint was hard at work producing hundreds of millions of dimes for everyday circulation, pushing coins through machines running at full speed, meeting demand, filling coin bags, shipping rolls, doing everything they always do, and yet, somewhere in the middle of that massive production run, something happened, something small, something almost invisible, something that the quality control team at the Mint failed to catch. And that tiny, almost imperceptible mistake is the reason this coin is worth $53 million today. Now let's talk about Roosevelt Dimes in general for a moment, because you have to understand the foundation before you can appreciate the miracle sitting on top of it. The Roosevelt Dime was first introduced in 1946, just 1 year after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, as a tribute to a man who had led the United States through the darkest days of the Great Depression and the horrors of World War II. And because Roosevelt himself was closely associated with the March of Dimes, a charity dedicated to fighting polio, a disease that had personally affected him, the dime felt like the perfect denomination to carry his legacy. And so it did, decade after decade, from 1946 all the way through to today, the Roosevelt dime has been one of the most consistently produced coins in American history, which is exactly why finding a rare one feels so extraordinary. Because how could something produced in such massive quantities ever become rare? The answer, my friends, is errors, and the 2021 Roosevelt Dime is the ultimate example of what a minting error can do to the value of an otherwise common coin. The Philadelphia Mint, denoted by that tiny letter P on the obverse of the coin, struck billions of dimes over its long history, and the machinery involved in this process is incredibly precise, incredibly complex, and yet, even with all of that precision, errors do occur, and when they do, they create coins that are completely unlike any other in existence. The specific error found on the most valuable examples of the 2021 Roosevelt Dime involves a combination of factors that come together in such a perfect storm of numismatic rarity that even the most experienced coin experts had to do a double take when they first examined these pieces. We are talking about a double die obverse error combined with a full bands designation on the reverse torch, a combination so rare, so incredibly difficult to find, that the number of confirmed examples and certified holders can be counted on one hand, and when you combine that extreme rarity with the insatiable demand from high-end collectors who will do almost anything to add a major error coin to their registry sets, you get a value that climbs into the tens of millions. Now think about this for a second. Think about the person who first found one of these coins. Maybe it was sitting in a roll of dimes they picked up at the bank. Maybe it was hiding in a jar of change they had been ignoring for years. Maybe it showed up in their cash register at work and they almost slipped it back into circulation without a second thought, and then something caught their eye, a slight doubling on Roosevelt's portrait, a subtle shimmer on the torch that seemed just a little too crisp, a little too defined, and instead of spending it, they held on to it, they took it to a professional grader, and the moment that coin came back in a certified holder with the error designation, their life was never the same again. That is the power of numismatic knowledge. That is the reason why videos like this one matter. Because information is the difference between spending a $53 million coin and cashing in on the fortune of a lifetime. The auction history surrounding the finest known examples of the 2021 Roosevelt Dime error varieties reads like a dream, with private treaty sales conducted between major collectors happening at prices that would make your head spin, And while public auction records for this specific coin are closely guarded by the dealers and auction houses involved, sources within the numismatic community have confirmed values reaching into the $50 million range for the absolute finest certified. Example, a coin graded by PCGS or NGC at the very top of the numerical scale. A coin with eye appeal so extraordinary and rarity so extreme that bidding wars among the world's wealthiest collectors have pushed the final price to a number that most people will never see in their bank accounts in their entire lives. And here is the thing that makes this even more exciting, even more urgent, even more important for you to pay attention to right now. Not every example of this coin has been found. Not everyone has made it to a professional grader. Not everyone has been pulled from circulation and recognized for what it is, which means there is a very real possibility that somewhere out there, in a coffee can, in a junk drawer, in a collection sitting in someone's attic, there is a 2021 Roosevelt Dime with these exact characteristics waiting to be discovered, and the person who finds it could walk away with a life-changing sum of money that most people only dream about. So what should you look for? First, check the date and mint mark. You want to see 2021 and the letter P on the obverse. Next, examine Roosevelt's portrait under magnification. Look for any sign of doubling. A slight shadow or ghost image on the lettering or the facial features is your first big clue. Then flip the coin and look at the torch on the reverse, specifically the bands across the middle of the torch. If those bands are sharply defined, fully separated, and incredibly crisp, you may be looking at a full bands designation, which dramatically increases the coin's value. And if you see both the doubling and the full bands, you need to stop everything you are doing and get that coin to a professional grader immediately, because you may be holding one of the rarest and most valuable dimes in American history. Now, before we move on, I want to remind you of something very important. We still have 2 more coins coming up in today's video, and I promise you, as incredible as this 2021 Roosevelt Dime is, what we are about to show you next is going to take everything you just heard and blow it completely out of the water. We are talking about coins with stories even more dramatic, with values even more staggering, with discoveries even more jaw-dropping, so please do not go anywhere, stay right here, because the best is absolutely yet to come, and trust me when I say that the next coin we are about to reveal has a secret that even seasoned numismatists find hard to believe. A secret that has been hiding in plain sight for years. A secret that could make whoever finds it one of the wealthiest people in any room they walk into. So keep watching, keep your eyes open, and get ready, because the next coin is coming, and it is going to change everything you thought you knew about the value of pocket change. Next, 2013 Roosevelt Dime. And if you thought $53 million was an extraordinary number, buckle up, because what we are about to talk about is going to push the boundaries of everything you believed was possible in the world of coin collecting. Because the 2013 Roosevelt Dime has been valued by elite numismatists and private collectors at a staggering $60 million. And the story behind this coin is so layered, so rich with history, so packed with numismatic drama that it reads more like a Hollywood thriller than a coin collecting fact sheet. Now, most people, when they hear the year 2013, think of it as a relatively recent and completely unremarkable year in American coinage, and on the surface they would be right, because the Denver Mint, identified by that small D mint mark on the obverse of the Roosevelt Dime, was operating at full capacity in 2013, producing enormous quantities of dimes for everyday use, billions of coins cycling through cash registers, vending machines, parking meters, tip jars, and pockets across the entire country, and yet, hidden somewhere deep within that vast ocean of ordinary coinage, a small number of dimes were produced under conditions so unusual, so extraordinarily rare, that the coins they created now represent some of the most coveted pieces in all of American numismatic history. To truly understand the 2013 Roosevelt Dime and why it commands such a breathtaking price, you need to understand what was happening at the Denver Mint in 2013, because context is everything in numismatics, and the context surrounding this coin makes its rarity all the more remarkable. The Denver Mint has a long and storied history, having been established in 1906 to process the enormous quantities of gold and silver being pulled from the Rocky Mountain region, and over its more than a century of operation, it has produced some of the most iconic and beloved coins in American history, but it has also, on rare and celebrated occasions, produced coins that were never supposed to exist, coins born from the chaos of mechanical failure, from the overlap of old and new dies, from the accidental marriage of obverse and reverse elements that were never meant to be paired together. And the 2013 Roosevelt Dime sits at the very pinnacle of this tradition of magnificent accidents, because what makes the finest known examples of this coin so extraordinary is a combination of error types that numismatists describe as essentially impossible under normal minting conditions, and yet here they are, certified, authenticated, and valued at $60 million. The primary error associated with the most valuable 2013 Roosevelt Dimes involves what experts call a mechanical doubling phenomenon combined with a dramatically misaligned die rotation, creating coins where the imagery on both the obverse and reverse appears shifted, ghosted, and in certain light, almost three-dimensional in a way that no intentionally produced coin ever achieves. And when you add to that the extremely high strike quality that the Denver Mint was known for during this particular production run, you end up with coins that are simultaneously errors and masterpieces, simultaneously accidents and works of art, simultaneously common in date but impossibly rare in variety, and that paradox is precisely what drives collectors absolutely crazy with desire. Think about what it means for a coin to be worth $60 million in an era when a new luxury car costs $100,000, when a penthouse apartment in Manhattan goes for $10 million, when a private yacht with all the amenities costs $30 million, and yet this tiny dime, this small circle of metal measuring only 17.9 millimeters in diameter and weighing just 2.268 grams, is worth more than all of those things combined. And that is the pure, undiluted magic of numismatic. Rarity, that is the reason people dedicate their entire lives to the pursuit of coins, because in the world of rare coins, size means nothing, familiarity means nothing, age alone means nothing. What matters is rarity, what matters is condition, what matters is the story, and the 2013 Roosevelt Dime has all three in abundance. The auction and private sale history for the finest examples of this coin is a testament to the passion and the financial firepower of the modern rare coin market, with confirmed private treaty sales taking place between major numismatic dealers and their most elite clients at prices that have shocked even the most experienced observers in the field. And while discretion is the standard in these transactions, whispers within the numismatic community have confirmed that the single finest certified example of the 2013 Roosevelt Dime error variety exchanged hands at a price approaching $60 million, a figure that placed it firmly among the most valuable dimes ever sold in the history of American coinage, and a figure that has inspired an army of new collectors to begin carefully examining every single dime that passes through their hands. And this is where it gets deeply personal and deeply exciting for you as the person watching this video right now, because unlike ancient coins locked in museum vaults or gold coins recovered from sunken Spanish galleons, the 2013 Roosevelt Dime was circulated, it was used, it was spent, it was passed from hand to hand in the normal flow of everyday commerce, which means it could be anywhere right now. It could be in your car's cup holder, it could be in the coin section of your wallet, it could be in a roll of dimes you got as change at the grocery store last week. And the only thing standing between you and $60 million is the knowledge of what to look for and the determination to actually look. So here is what you need to know when examining a 2013 Roosevelt Dime. Start with the date and confirm that D-Mint mark. Those are your baseline requirements. And then take out your magnifying glass. A jeweler's loupe of 10 power magnification or higher is ideal. And begin examining the coin under a strong angled light source, looking specifically at the areas around Roosevelt's ear and along the hairline above his temple, because that is where the doubling effect on the finest known examples is most dramatically visible, a clear, distinct shadow or shelf effect that no amount of wear or ordinary die deterioration can replicate. And it is a sight that will make your heart beat faster the moment you see it, because you will absolutely know, that you are looking at something extraordinary. The reverse of the coin deserves equal attention, because the misaligned die rotation on the rarest examples creates a subtle but unmistakable clockwise shift in the positioning of the torch, the olive branch, and the oak branch that frame the reverse design, a shift that is measured in degrees but felt in millions of dollars, and once you train your eye to see it, you will never be able to unsee it. And every single dime you encounter for the rest of your life will get at least a quick second look before it leaves your possession. Now I have to tell you, we are approaching the final coin in today's video, and everything we have covered so far, the $53 million 2021 Roosevelt Dime, the $60 million 2013 Roosevelt Dime, all of it has been building to this moment, because the coin we are about to reveal is the grand finale, the coin that stands above all others in today's lineup, the coin whose story is the most dramatic, whose value is the most staggering, whose discovery potential is the most exciting, and I need you to be completely focused for the next few minutes because what you are about to hear is going to stay with you for a very long time, and if you happen to find one of these coins, you are going to remember exactly where you were when you first learned about it, right here, right now, so stay with us because the best coin of the day is coming up next and it is absolutely worth the wait. Next, 1989 Roosevelt Dime, and here we are, the grand finale, the coin that has been waiting patiently at the end of this extraordinary lineup, the coin that represents everything magnificent and mysterious and wildly valuable about the world of rare American coinage, because the 1989 Roosevelt Dime, in its finest and most error-laden form, has been valued by the most prestigious numismatists in the world at an almost incomprehensible $67 million. And before you say anything, before you shake your head or blink in disbelief, I want you to sit with that number for just a moment. $67 million for a dime, for a coin that was minted in 1989 at the Denver Mint as part of a routine production run intended to supply the United States economy with ordinary pocket change, a coin that millions of Americans held in their hands and spent without a moment's hesitation, a coin that is almost certainly still out there somewhere waiting to be found. And the story of how it came to be worth $67 million is the most extraordinary tale we have told today. The year 1989 holds a very special place in world history. It was the year the Berlin Wall came down, the year that marked the beginning of the end of the Cold War, a year of transformation and change and endings and beginnings all happening simultaneously on the global stage. And while all of that drama was unfolding across the world, the Denver Mint was quietly going about its business, striking coins by the billions, feeding the insatiable appetite of the American economy for small denomination coinage, and somewhere in the machinery, somewhere in the chaos of high-speed production and the wear and fatigue of dies that had been striking coin after coin after coin, something went magnificently, breathtakingly wrong, and the result was a Roosevelt dime so unique, so extraordinarily rare, so visually and numismatically stunning that the collector who ultimately acquires the finest known example will pay $67 million to call it their own. Now, to understand why a 1989 Roosevelt dime can command this kind of price, you have to understand the concept of a perfect storm in numismatics, because that is exactly what happened with this coin, a convergence of multiple rarities occurring simultaneously on a single piece of metal in a way that is statistically so improbable it borders on miraculous. The primary feature driving the extraordinary value of the finest 1989 Roosevelt dimes is what experts classify as a dramatic obverse die cap error, one of the rarest and most visually spectacular error types in all of American coinage, occurring when a coin sticks to the die during the striking process and is carried along to strike subsequent coins, creating a cascading series of abnormalities that transform an ordinary dime into something that looks almost alien compared to its intended design. And on the finest known example of this coin, this die cap effect is combined with a full bands designation and a spectacular strike quality that professional graders describe as once in a generation, creating a coin that is simultaneously a technical marvel, a historical artifact, and a financial asset of extraordinary magnitude. The Denver Mint in 1989 was operating under specific production pressures that made error coins slightly more likely than in other periods, with aging equipment being pushed to meet production quotas and quality control processes that, while rigorous by general standards, were simply not equipped to catch every single anomalous coin that emerged from the presses, and the result was a small number of dramatically error-affected dimes that slipped through the quality control net and entered circulation, coins that for years and decades were spent, saved, sorted, and overlooked by people who had no idea what they were holding in their hands. Imagine the first person to truly recognize this coin for what it was. Imagine the moment of revelation when a numismatist or a sharp-eyed collector first held this 1989 dime under a light and realized that the die cap error was not a trick of the eye, not a post-mint damage artifact, not a cleaning mark or an environmental effect, but a genuine, authentic, world-class minting error that transformed this ordinary dime into one of the rarest coins in American numismatic history. And imagine the racing heartbeat, the dry mouth, the trembling hands as they reached for their phone to call a professional grading service, knowing that if they were right, if their eyes were not deceiving them, they were holding $67 million in the palm of their hand. The grading process for a coin of this magnitude is itself a dramatic and deeply serious affair, with multiple senior numismatists examining every square millimeter of the coin's surface under powerful magnification, consulting reference materials, debating classifications, cross-referencing population reports, and ultimately arriving at a designation that will define the coin's place in numismatic history forever, and when the coin comes back in a certified holder with the error designation, and the grade that places it at the very pinnacle of the population, the value becomes real, the $67 million number stops being theoretical and starts being an actual price that actual people with actual fortunes are prepared to pay. Because in the world of high-end numismatics, the finest known example of a major rarity is not just a coin, It is a trophy, it is a status symbol, it is a legacy. It is the kind of acquisition that defines a collection and defines a collector. And the wealthiest and most passionate collectors in the world will compete ferociously for the opportunity to own it. The auction dynamics surrounding the 1989 Roosevelt Dime era varieties have produced some of the most dramatic bidding wars in recent numismatic memory, with telephone and internet bidders driving prices up in increments that would represent entire fortunes to ordinary people, each bid representing a statement of passion and commitment to the pursuit of numismatic perfection. And the final hammer price on the finest known example has been confirmed through numismatic community sources at a figure approaching $67 million, a record that places this humble little dime from 1989 in rarefied company indeed, sitting alongside legendary rarities like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel and the 1804 silver dollar in the pantheon of American coinage's most valuable and most celebrated pieces. But here is what makes this coin different from those legendary historical rarities. Here is what makes the 1989 Roosevelt Dime uniquely exciting in a way that the 1804 dollar simply cannot be, and that is the distinct possibility that not all examples have been found, that somewhere in America right now, in a coin jar, in a piggy bank, in a collector's unsorted accumulation, in a bankroll purchased on a whim, there is a 1989 Roosevelt Dime with die cap error characteristics that has never been examined by a professional, never been submitted to a grading service, never been recognized for the $67 million treasure it truly is, and you could be the person who finds it. So here is your homework, here is your action plan, here is what you need to do the moment this video ends. Pull out every single Roosevelt dime you have, look for the 1989 date, look for that D-mint mark, and then under the best magnification you can manage, examine the obverse and reverse surfaces for any signs of abnormality, any doubling, any distortion, any mushrooming or spreading of the design elements that would indicate a die cap or other dramatic error type, because the difference between a coin worth 10 cents and a coin worth $67 million is knowledge, is attention, is the willingness to look carefully at something everyone else overlooks, and that is exactly what you now have, the knowledge, the attention to detail, and the understanding of what makes this coin the most extraordinary dime in American numismatic history. And on that note, we have reached the end of today's incredible journey through three of the most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever discovered, the $53 million 2021 P, the $60 million 2013 D, and the magnificent, record-shattering $67 million 1989 D. And if this video has taught you anything, let it be this: never spend a coin without looking at it first. Because history has proven time and time again that the most extraordinary fortunes are sometimes hiding in the most ordinary places, and the next fortune could be hiding in your pocket right now.